Today is July 8th, 2020. I'm just showing you my flower bed in the front of my house. I did plant a number of different flowers in here, but the sunflowers took over, and I didn't plant any of them. They all came up from seed from some that I had last year. If you saw my last video, you'll remember how much smaller everything was. June is the month, if you live in a northern climate, where everything just explodes. The tomatoes are really doing well. Also some over here. The peppers are doing well. I have quite a few different varieties of tomatoes. I have Brandywine Red, Wisconsin 55, Black Cherry, Rutgers, Cherokee Purple, Super Sweet 100. This is I think is my first ripe tomato. First one I've seen, or it's almost ripe. It's usually a cherry tomato that will ripen first because they're smaller. The other ones, there's lots of tomatoes, nothing ripening, that'll take a little while. The eggplants are also doing well. You can see the flowers on there. That's where the fruit will form. Here's a mistake I made. I put the butternut squash in behind the tomatoes, and the tomatoes got really big, and the butternut squash got stuck behind because the sun comes in from over here. So I decided, the idea was I was going to have it grow up on a trellis, but before I could do that, the tomatoes just took off. So I'm having the butternut squash, I just pulled that over, grow along the side and around the back. Again, if you saw my video last time, these peppers have really taken off. Eggplant as well. My squashes have all taken off. 1, 2, 3, 4 over there in grow bags. The cantaloupe has taken off. I originally had planned to put 2 in here. One of them died, but this one that is over here, it just has taken over. I harvested the garlic here, really nice harvest, and I put in another cantaloupe. These were onions that I started from sets, and not all that impressed. There are a few that are bulbing, so I'll get a little bit. I have some growing from seed in the back, which I think will do better. More peppers. Last time the green beans were not doing very well, but they really took off as well. We did have some nice rain in June, which helped. These are the yellow wax beans, which I've never grown before. Here we have some zucchini. There's one there, and a big one around the side. This garlic I'm also going to harvest. I might even do that today. The potatoes are starting to die out. That's what happens once they're finishing their life cycle, but they're still green, so I'm going to keep waiting. These are red Norlands. Here another zucchini. I don't think there's anything on it right now. Oh, it looks like there's one down there. The kohlrabi finally is starting to form the kohlrabi, the bulb or whatever it's called. And that one as well. Well, it's just starting. These butternut squash, I was able to get up the trellis. These green beans from last time also weren't doing well, and they are doing really well right now. It's an Italian heirloom variety. It has sort of a muddled look to it. Again, my broccoli. It's so interesting. In my last video, about 5 weeks ago, I had just harvested the first heads, and some of them are just forming heads now, like a month later. So, such a long span of time between, because I planted them all at the same time. The Brussels sprouts starting to form. You can see the white stuff. I had to spray these. They were getting eaten up by the cabbage worms. I also sprayed the dinosaur kale. It was getting, well, so you can see, getting eaten up a little bit. Here's another cantaloupe I popped into a grow bag. Over here, you can see my driveway that at some point needs to be resurfaced. Here are 4 grow bags, 20-gallon grow bags. You can't really see the grow bags because the vines are just taking over. These are sweet potatoes. It's just a jungle. I grew them for the first time last year, really enjoy them, and they store really well, which is nice. This plant is a weed. It's dill. It comes up all over the place, and it forms these pretty flowers, but you don't really want dill coming up in your driveway. Here in the backyard portion of my garden, I have 6 raised beds, and again you'll see a lot of changes from 5 weeks ago. Here's some cilantro that had been growing in a pot that's going to seed. These, if you saw my last video, these were the leeks. And they're growing. I don't know how big they'll get, but you know, they'll get to some size. My cilantro last time wasn't doing really well and it just exploded. If you pick off these flowers, then you can extend the life to some extent as it gets hotter. Here's a tomato that came up in my broccoli or brassica bed in front, so I just transplanted it here just to see what happens. I don't know what type it is. It's from last year. Call that a volunteer plant. The cucumbers are doing well. This is a pickling cucumber. I don't think there are any on right now. I picked a number the last couple days. The carrots and the parsnips doing well. Lettuce going to, well, that's actually arugula going to seed. Most of the lettuce is bolting at this point. So I'll trim up the last bits of it, pull most of this out, and then put something else in. Here, these potatoes in the grow bags are dying off a little bit more than the ones in the front. But I am going to wait till they're mostly brown and yellowed and dead, and at that point I'll dump them out and see what I get. I did harvest one of the bags about a week ago, and it was okay, an okay harvest, but I'm hoping that the other ones will produce even more and somewhat bigger potatoes. Another couple cantaloupe plants here. We have peppers. There's a banana pepper. These are those other onions I was talking about, and they're bulbing. We'll see how they do. More peppers back there. I think that's an Anaheim, not sure, because I lost the tag on that one. Here I had, what did I have in here? Oh, these were the peas. And they died. I pulled those out, and I have planted lima beans. Now it looks like a few are not coming up, so I might have to replant a little bit. That happens sometimes. This is another variety of cucumber. It's called alpha bait or bait alpha. It's essentially the mini cucumbers. That's actually pretty big. I need to pick that you find in the grocery store. This is a Cherokee purple tomato plant in a grow bag. And this leaf curling is something I've had trouble with the plants back here. And I'll talk about that in a moment, trying to figure out what that is. The corn is doing well. I had to replant some of it, so that's why some of the plants are smaller and some are much larger. The fava beans are producing. It's been cooler the last week or so, which is good because they like cool weather. Some carrots, which are fine. I mean, they're kind of trapped in there. These are strawberries, which I'll continue to grow and take the runners and transplant them. I might do some of those maybe in the backyard. These peas are still producing a little bit. I mean, I'll probably pull them out pretty soon. There's a very large one. Another tomato plant in a grow bag. Again, it also has this leaf curl. And that can be a couple of things. It can be what's called physiological leaf curl, which is from just the environment, you know, watering issues, the too much hot sun, that kind of thing. It can also be caused by what's called curly top virus, which is a virus that is brought in by an insect called a leafhopper. It could be that. It also could be herbicide damage in the soil. This soil is new this year, and it was from some compost I bought. But it doesn't seem to be affecting any of the other plants in the garden. Only some of the tomato plants, which leads me to believe, I mean, it's possible. Like this one is just tall and spindly. That just doesn't look normal to me. And even some of the little branches are dying. So I don't know what's going on. But then you come over here, these are super sweet 100s, and they look perfectly healthy. So it's a bit of a mystery. The ones affected are the Amish paste, primarily. Now this one is Amish paste, and it does have tomatoes on it. So I guess I'll keep it for now. Last bed, I have asparagus, which is continuing to send up the shoots, which I'm happy about. It'll grow all this summer, next summer as well. The second summer you can pick a few, and then the third year is when you really start harvesting. Here I have two types of pole beans on trellises, doing really well. This, I think, is my favorite bean of all time. It's a Romano. Look at the size of that. It's about a foot long and very tender, doesn't have strings. So, you know, you only need like 5 or 6 of those cut up, and that's a whole serving. And then this variety over here is the purple potted, which I have grown the Romanos before. I've never grown the purple potted. They look healthy, and I'm just starting to see some blossoms. So this one, I guess, takes a little longer to produce the beans. Overall, the garden is looking really well and continuing to produce, and so I'm very happy with it. Thanks for watching.